Hello everybody, this is Bench85. Welcome to a tutorial slash experimental type video. Something new to my channel a little bit. But the big thing that I'm looking at today is the fact that I've been a little frustrated with the Fraps recently. I've had a few run-ins, some of them a little bit, user to blame type things, but still, I've kind of wanted to look for a new option. So I started looking into DxTory. And I will get in a little bit more about how DxTory is set up, things like that later on in the tutorial part, if you will. But for now, I just want to go through the experiments that I did. The biggest thing that I heard about was, first of all, DxTory. Well, here, I'll show this. This right here is a Fraps file right here, one single file, whereas these guys are actually from DxTory. The big difference is these two are just straight video files right now. But I can extract the audio stream because if you'll notice there's two audio files here with each video. What DxTory is capable of doing is splitting up your audio. So in my case I do one of these, I believe ST0 is my, or it'd be soundtrack 0 would be the Windows sound, my computer sound, my game sound, all that kind of stuff. Soundtrack 1 here would be my mic sound. So I can split what I am saying in my mic from everything else that's in here. One of the big things I wanted to look at doing, because I think it's the only recording software that allows you to do that as far as I'm aware, which is a big bonus. But I also had heard from Generic B that if you're using one of the new transcoder codecs, what it does is it actually will transcode and shrink down, if you will, your file without losing the quality of it, allowing for, first of all, it's supposed to be smaller files, and secondly, it's supposed to cut your encoding time, so speed up encoding. So that's what I wanted to test. So I ran through a bunch of tests here, and I'm going to be throwing up some of the numbers up here on the screen as I talk about it. The first one I wanted to look at right here was the Fraps one, and what I did here, you'll notice that the thumbnail is identical. What I did is I started up a brand new world in 1.8.1. That's the same instance that I used for Rain Cloud server, and I created a brand new survival world, put myself into creative, found a spot that wasn't full of ocean because I spawned in the middle of an ocean, and just sat there and kept the screen identical with F3 up, the debug menu. And I did the same exact recording. You'll notice the sun is relatively in the same spot in all of them. These two are a little off, but not too bad. Trying to make it exactly the same. Then I turned my mic off and turned the game sound off and music off, but I let it record audio still. And I ran for 5 minutes. Most of these are pretty close to 5 minutes. This is 5:17. Come on. 5:15. There's a couple that are 5:02. I recalculated all of the numbers for space down to exactly 5 minutes, and I rendered exactly 5-minute clips. It was the closest I could get to an exact experiment that I could replicate time and time again. So when I first ran the Fraps one, by the way, I should tell you guys, the game was running without recording at a solid 120 frames per second. That's what I top it out at in Minecraft. I've never actually put that top higher in 1.8 because I usually run in 1.7 with mods. So I've never actually seen what I could do. But let's just say it was higher than 120 because it sits at that. So recording software will always bring it down to at least 60. So these numbers are based on that. Fraps ran at a solid 60 frames per second. And if I recalculated the space here, I had 9.65 gigabytes worth of space, which is pretty close to 2 gigabytes per minute, which is the standard that I've always seemed to have shown whenever I've done recording here, and I've used Fraps for about a year now, so I've got a lot of experience with it. The rendering time for that was 5 minutes 30 seconds, which is about right because it takes a little bit longer for a basic render on my computer than the number of minutes that are in the actual video. So 5 minutes 30 for render time. It's about right. The second one I looked at was just their basic lossless codec, which is similar to Fraps, which should be this guy right here. Yep. And remember, there is 2 sound files in part of this, so it's a little bit higher, but you'll notice right away I noticed that for 50 frames per second I was getting, so it did drop a little bit, which I found interesting because DxTory is supposed to be better with frame rate. But it ended up being 13.55 gigabytes, which is a bigger file, which kind of surprised me. But then again, it is a lossless, and it's, it all depends on what kind of codec they're running. The encoding time, though, that was interesting was it was 4 minutes 20 seconds. It was a full minute 10 seconds faster at encoding on a regular lossless file, which is crazy. I didn't realize it was going to be that fast. By the way, if I didn't do the compressed lossless, it was 23 gigabytes, much bigger. I don't even know, did I save that on here? Yeah, right here, 23 gigabytes, huge. So I was doing compressed with all these. The second one that I looked at was this guy right here, which is using the YUV420 codec, which is a part of DxTory standard, and that one ran at 50 frames per second as well, so it was about the same, but, and it's not actually showing me here, there it is, 6.27 gigabytes of space. Not bad. Really not bad. That's a full, let's see, it's a full 3 gigabytes, so it's 2/3 the space that Fraps was using, and the encoding time on that was 3 minutes 50 seconds. 3 minutes 50 seconds, right? That's almost 2 minutes faster than Fraps, and I was quite impressed. So the last one I wanted to do, the big one, this is the one that Generic B really promoted, and that's plugging in the X264 codec. X264 is a very common codec for what YouTube likes. YouTube likes uploading. It's a type of AVI file, basically. But the biggest plus, I guess, is if you're running either Adobe Premiere or Sony Vegas, which I don't have either, but they have X264 built in. The codec that I put into DxTory, the X264, I could piggyback into my editing program, which is Magic's Movie Edit Pro. I've really liked it. I've used it for many years. That's why I still use it. So I'm not looking to change, but I can piggyback it in. It's just not as good as what's included in either Sony Vegas or Adobe Premiere. But when you install it into the X264 into DxTory, this is where the magic really starts to happen. This is a very good compression transcoding codec. It does take a little bit of a hit on your computer, though. It was only recording at 45 frames per second. And I will tell you this, in modded Minecraft, I was able to get almost 40 frames per second in modded, which is pretty good because Fraps is usually between 30 and 35. So I was doing better in modded than I was in vanilla, which is interesting with that same codec. But actually, it was about the same. I should apologize about that. I was using the YUV420 codec in modded because the X264 gets me too close to 30 frames per second, and I usually record at 30 frames per second, so I wanted a little bit of a buffer. But anyways, in vanilla, this is the big number, and I haven't highlighted it because I want you guys to hear this from me. A 5-minute recording with the X264 codec, 1.32 gigabytes. I am not kidding you. 1.32 gigabytes. Isn't that crazy? That's almost a ninth of the space. Now, when I plugged it straight into mine and did regular encoding, it did 4 minutes 20 seconds, so that's comparable to all the other ones that I listed. But if I piggybacked into the X264 encoding in my software, I got it just below 4 minutes. Basically the same exact speed that the YUV420 gave me. But 1.32 gigabytes, that's crazy. But like I said, because it's transcoding at the same time as it's recording, it will hurt frame rate a little bit more because your processor is compressing it down at the same time. But still, that's pretty impressive. And even if you're using just the standard YUV 420 codec, you're still saving space over Fraps. Plus, you get 2 audio tracks. How often do you get 2 audio tracks inside a recording? I know Pigglesworth, when he records, he's actually recording using Audacity for his audio and using Fraps for video, because then he can get multiple channels. Here you can actually get multiple channels in the recording software. And like I said, all you have to do, if I do this, is you extract the audio stream and it'll pull them out. And it's all built in like this. And I'll pull the second one out, and there's your 2 audio files, just like that. Pretty cool, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch gears here. I'm going to set up for the DxTory here, and I'll show you guys where I got the different codecs and how to install them. So I'll be right back. Alright guys, welcome back. This is the tutorial part of this video. So first of all, DxTory, where I downloaded from, if you search for it, make sure it's at this website, exkode.com/DxTory. It's right here. They do a few things here. But the biggest thing is DxTory is what they work with. It is an overseas company. It's over in Japan. But this is a reputable company. And they've been selling this for quite a long time. And like I said, people like Generic B and some of the other guys do it, and they've been really promoting it. I'm utilizing the latest version here, 0.128. 0.126 is the most stable. As far as buying it, you have to buy the license and plug it in. It is in Japanese yen. If I convert it, it's somewhere around $32 to $33 that I spent for it, which is very close to the price of Fraps. I don't remember the price of Fraps because, like I said, I bought it like 2 years ago. So I'd have to look that up. But I think it's very comparable. It's right around $30. The other thing you're going to need, and I'm going to put the links to all of this, the link to this page, and the link to this page, and the other one up here that I have in the description of the video so you guys can find this stuff. This is the X264 codec. This is the video codec that I was talking about that really shrinks it down. This is the only one that you have to install. The other codec that I was using, the YUV 420, is part of DxTory, so you don't have to download that one. It's built in. But I just do right here, looking for the latest version. This one is really simple to install. Like I said, it's a .exe file, and all you have to do is double click it and it installs. No problem. Okay? Really simple. This one though, this is the lame MP3 codec. This is the MP3 codec that goes with it so that it can compress the sound at the same time. This is important to grab. This one is really easy to download on a 32-bit operating system. On a 64, not so much. When you get it, it's a zip file here. So I opened it up here, and all you have to do is make sure to look at this. How to install on a 64-bit. What I did is you extract it to any directory you want. I actually use this C drive lame folder. You want to run a command prompt with admin rights. All I did was I brought up the command prompt and right-clicked it and said run as as administrator. And then you need to put in this directory here. Make sure that plugs in. It should change the directory. And then you plug in this entire thing exactly as it's written here. Just make sure that this part of the directory right here is wherever you saved it to. This is why I did save it here, because it's identical. If you change it to a different directory, make sure that that directory is in this part here, and then the rest of it is the same. And this will install it on an x64. Alright, once you're there, you need to go into your program. So I'm going to close out of those. I'm going to bring DxTory over here. So this is the profile DxTory right here. It's grabbing OBS because I am using OBS to record this at the moment, because I use that for window capture like this. I don't use the overlay at all, so I don't have any of that checked. This is the folder that I am recording to with DxTory. You can do a test rate. This is not too bad, 146. It's not great. An SSD would get you a much greater speed, The importance of this is what you're recording in. If you're recording in 720 or even 1080p, but only 30 frames per second, this should work. If you're trying to do 60 frames per second, it's not going to work. So just keep that in mind. Just your simple, I always use scroll lock for my recording button, so that's why that's in there. This is the important page though. Alright, now I have this set back to 1280 by not quite 720. This is what works for me on Minecraft, so this is what I utilize it for, but I have the DxTory video codec in here. If you want to do the X264, you will see it right here. Okay, so you click it and you can change it. This is all on the fly. You can change these codecs on the fly. Just have to stop recording and then start recording again. Okay, so this is where the 264 is. If you did it right, it'll show up there. You want to go into here. This is your editing. That's what the little paintbrush thing is for. Okay, the important things to have in here, I have ultra fast. This is all standard. I do have fast decode and zero latency. It should help out usually, and then all this is going to do is it's going to hurt your compression a little bit, but for the compression that it's doing, it's pretty nice. I usually use the single pass rate factor based one. Okay, that's what I found works the best. The rate factor determines how good of compression based on your computer specs, what your computer is capable of doing. Okay, the further you bring it over here, the lower the quality. The better over here, the better the quality. But over here, that's more CPU and GPU usage. It will affect your computer's ability to play the game alongside it. I found 18 to be a very good balance for me. You want to make sure this is in VFW mode. You do not want it in file. And you want to make sure that this is set to lowercase x264. It can't be in anything else. Lowercase x264. Okay? And this stuff all stays standard. And this, to be honest, I don't know what this does exactly, but Generic B said that this was extremely important, and he said somebody else told him it was important. He's not sure what it does, but it is dash dash. There's two dashes in there. Key int space 1. I can't tell you what it does, but it actually helps. Okay. Now, this is all good. I do file output. Direct show has to do with outputting to like OBS or something like that, but like for streaming, but I don't use that. I include mouse cursor, and this is just the scaling. This is where I set my window, and I do record at 30 frames per second. This is the other half of it. All right. Now you have two audio inputs. All right. If you wanted to add one, see, you can add one like this. I'm actually going to take that one away. So I have this one are my speakers, what I hear in my headset. That's my Windows sound. Okay. And I check it for recording, and I put in this lame MP3 codec. Okay. Normally it's on like PCM. You want it in lame MP3. And this you have to match up. Make sure you match this up to whatever your speakers are capable of. 4800 is generally what most things are. You might want to check it. The reason for that, if you are trying to do it in 4800 and your speakers or something are in a different hertz, different frequency, your sound's going to get way out of balance. So you need to make sure this is the same, but like I said, 4800 is the standard nowadays. The second one I have set to my microphone, same thing, lame MP3, 4800 hertz. And this was down like in the 67 range I found, which is much quieter than what I was using for Fraps. I turned it all the way up, and it seems to sound really good. Okay, that's important to do there. This is for screenshotting. I don't utilize it. This, I haven't changed anything on here yet. I played around with it, but I haven't found something that really seems to help. The only thing might be processing threads, but I found it actually hurt my FPS in modded Minecraft, so I haven't touched it since. And this is all the same. This is all the same. So the other codecs, by the way, that I was using were under DxTory video codec, and when I go under here, you can do it. This is the RGB, the true lossless that I was using, and I compressed it. The other one that I've liked here is the YUV420 for medium quality. It seems to do a really good job, and that's the one that gave 2/3 of the file size of Fraps. So I've been using that. And I've recorded an entire episode, and actually my previous episode of Surviving Minecraft was using this codec, and it seemed to work pretty well. It was like a 40-minute long video, and it took somewhere around 40 to 45 minutes to encode, which is quicker than Fraps recording would have encoded. So it did seem to help, at least something that was noticeable for me. So with that, guys, I think that's about what I wanted to go through. Basically, I'll just tell you guys straight out, so you can take this experiment with a grain of salt, or whatever analogy you want to use. I did this specifically to test straight up what the difference would be between Fraps and DxTory as fairly as I could. I am going to be using DxTory much more, just because I like the options it gives me, and I've seemed to found a recording balance that works really well for me. Plus, I like being able to change the different, or to have 2 audio tracks. That's a huge plus for me, something that I've been missing. Plus, it does a good job of telling me when I'm recording down in the taskbar instead of Fraps, which is a pain in the butt. And I haven't seemed to lose any files like I did with Fraps a time or two before. So I think it's going to work out pretty well. So like I said, I'm going to leave the links in the description for these different pages here. And you guys can determine what you want to do with it. If you guys have any suggestions or questions based on what I did here, leave them in the comments. And I will try to answer them. Or if I had not looked at that particular question of yours, I will test it or get some information for you, and I will get back to you and answer as much as I possibly can. So with that, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, take it easy.